Howdy, y'all. Caleb here, and I've got a tournament recap. This was from a tournament last weekend over at Texas Toy Soldier in Carrollton, Texas, and I decided to have a little fun. I took 3 Bastiladons, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail. I decided to take 3 Bastiladons in this list just to see if I could have some fun with it and really kind of stretch that Prime Hunter, Prime Target new stuff that GW gave us. See how many points I was going to give up taking 3 Bastiladons. So let's take a look at my list here. Thunder Lizard and Coalesced, obviously, for the -1 damage and the extra terrain benefits of that ward and +1 to save. Grand Strategy Beastmaster to just keep my beasts alive. I've got 4 beasts. They're all going to be pretty tough, so hopefully I can keep those alive and score that Grand Strategy. Triumph. Didn't worry about the Triumph because I'm at 2,000 points exactly. Skink Priest. I took 2 Skink Priests because, you know what? I'm kind of tired of my Skink Priests getting shot when I only bring 1 of them. So I brought 2, hoping to keep 1 alive to at least buff up 1 Bastiladon. Then with that +1 to hit in the hero phase, and I can still use +1 to hit in the shooting phase on one of the other ones. 2 Skink Priests is obviously better than 1. They pack so much punch for just 80 points. I love these guys. Plus, I get these universal prayers that are good. Heal is awesome. Healing up those Bastiladons when they take those mortal wounds, which is pretty much the only way to take them down. And guidance for the other one to give me extra command points. I'm always looking for command points because Thunder Lizard, you're always hungry for command points. And so I need those command points, especially when the Slon fails, when you're rolling those 2 dice and you're like, okay, I just need 1 command point from him, and he doesn't give it to you. Slon Star Master, Stellar Tempest, I'm taking on him for the Horde Busting ability. That spell, you roll a dice for every model in the target unit, and on a 5-up, they take mortals. Great for picking off some hordes, and I think you'll start seeing hordes a little bit more in the meta. Engine of the Gods is my general. I did make this as my general because I really want to kit him out to do some melee damage. Command trait Prime Warbeast to give him extra attacks. Artifact Fusel of Conflagration just gives him a little laser beam to do some mortals. Unless it destroys itself on a roll of 1, which might happen. Hopefully we'll get to that. Mount trait Beastmaster to give him extra attacks or run in charge if you need it at some point in the game. Universal Prayer Scripture of Curse, which is just amazing. 6s to hit equal mortal wound for that target. So that's awesome if you can pop that off and then shoot all your Bastiladons into him. You're going to kill just about anything. 3 units of Source Knights with Lances in case they get the charge. They pretty much never do because they're always my screen. And with 3 units of these guys, I can cover the entire board. The entire deployment zone I can screen out with these 3 units of Knights. And sometimes they'll survive those alpha strikes, not all the time, but a lot of times they will, just because -1 damage, 4-up save, I can get that to 3-up pretty easily, and they end up surviving some stuff. 2 units of Chameleon Skinks. I took this because that kind of gives me some mobility, ability to deep strike, ambush, that kind of thing. And in this battle pack that we're playing in, it's pretty important. I'll get to that in here in a second. And then here's the meat, the fun part. 3 Bastiladons. It's a sight to behold. 3 Bastiladons on the table is always a lot of fun. Your opponent expects you to have at least 1 Bastiladon Thunder Lizard, probably 2, and then you tell them, and here's my 3rd one. Just, the look on their face is wonderful. I could fit that all into, well, not all of it. I had 2 battle regiments, and then 1 Bastiladon was outside that battle regiment. So I'm not really tipping my hand too much on my first drop. I usually just put down 1 Bastiladon. They kind of measure. I usually put it far back. They measure their stuff to that, and then I bring in my other ones. But even my second drop is like another Bastiladon, 2 Chameleon Skinks, and the Skink Priest. So you're not really tipping your hand until that 3rd drop. But 3 drops will outdrop a lot of stuff. Not the 1 and 2 drop lists, but it will outdrop quite a bit. All right. Oh, quickly on this battle pack. This battle pack was kind of interesting because we were playing with, you pick 2 battle tactics per turn. That's tough. And so how many battle tactics you scored was pretty big for the overall score. And so you really needed to try to get as many as you can. So you're looking at a total of 10 for a game. They did give us an extra 2, kill a hero and retreat a unit, which are pretty nice and pretty easy to do. But it was still hard to accomplish 10. I don't think I accomplished 10 in any of my games. I got close, but A pretty interesting twist there, and that's why I ended up bringing 2 units of Commanding Skinks, because I wanted to make sure I could guarantee Savage Spearhead at any point in the game by just deep striking those Commanding Skinks. Plus, you know, they're a way to get some mortal wounds. This list doesn't have a ton. If I don't get Curse off, it does have some between spells and things like that. But Commanding Skinks were very valuable in this game. So, all right, on to game 1. Game 1 was against Jonathan Sleezus, and if you watched the last video, he's the one that I played in round 5 of the Lone Star GT. We had an incredibly close game, and he ended up beating me. And so we're basically having a rematch here. We're playing on Feral Foray, which is this one here where you can burn these objectives. Same game type we played in game 5 of Lone Star, and now we're matched up again in game 1 of this local tournament. But he's not bringing OBR. Instead, he's bringing Stormcast Eternals. So let's take a look at this list real quick. He's got a Lord Relictor as the general with the command trait High Priest, Artifact Mirror Shield, and Prayer of Translocation. That's pretty standard, I think, for your Relictor. High Priest gives him that reroll to his prayers, which he's already doing. Translocate, which is a teleport prayer, on a 2-up because he gets a native +1. So now that prayer is a 2-up re-rolling, which is incredible for that prayer of translocating, of transporting a unit anywhere he wants to outside of 9. And then Mirror Shield makes sure he can't be shot unless you're within inside 9. So this guy's not getting shot in the game. He's pretty safe. And it's funny, he lined him up on the line, knowing that I'm not really alpha striking anything in my army. He's not worried about him. I can't get anything within 9 of him anyway. And so he lined him up on the line, which is kind of weird to see a little foot hero lined up on the line, but a good strategy there. He also has a Knight Incanter with Celestial Blades, so he's going to cast that to bump up his either dragons or fulminators, which we'll get to in a second. His Lord Castellan has Artifact of Power Arcane Tomes. It makes him a wizard as well. And Spell Thunder Shock. That one just does some mortal wounds. Or no, that one may do the -1 to hit in an aura, which is pretty good. But Lord Castellan's there to also buff up the dragons as well, because they can give the dragons a +1 to save. Or the Lord Castellan can. So with Lord Castellan +1 to save and Mystic Shield +1 to save, those 4 Stormdrake Guard he's got are incredibly tough. So he does have 4 Stormdrake Guard there in the list and 2 Fulminators, so a smaller unit of Fulminators. But he also has a block of 10 Judicators with Skybolt Bows, and then his other battle line are the Vindicators. Those Judicators, I kind of know what this list does a lot, because me and Axton play Stormcast quite a bit here at home. I knew he was going to teleport those Judicators to a priority target and shoot them in the hero phase and then shoot them in the shooting phase. So he's going to get quite a bit of juice out of those Judicators. And then the Stormdrake Guard are going to be in my lines turn 1, with the Fulminators kind of coming in to clean up whatever isn't tagged up by the Stormdrake Guard. Fulminators are kind of like a turn 2 attack. So a good list. I kind of knew what it did. He's more drops than me, so I did elect for him to go first, knowing that he's going to be in my lines pretty quickly. So you can see my screen here of all these knights, knowing that he's coming in with the dragons, fulminators over on this side, and his Judicators are lined up all the way back. If he had lined up his Judicators in range, it would have made a pretty tough decision whether or not I go first or not. If I could take off those Judicators, I would feel a lot better about my heroes surviving, about my kind of priority pieces staying alive. I may have pushed up my Source Knights just to engage the dragons closer, but he lined with those Fulminators to where I couldn't get them with the Bastiladons, and so I gave him first turn. And I knew I was going to take some shots. I knew he was going to translocate the Judicators and hit me with the dragons, and that's pretty much what he did. Over here on this left side, you can see I properly screened out this Bastiladon, put the Bastiladon back 3 inches, or more than 3 inches, so that if the dragons got into these Source Knights, he wouldn't be tagged up. Like a brilliant tactician I am, I did not line these Bastiladons up more than 3 inches back from my screen. So that will come to bite me a little bit. on his turn, he did do what we expected. He did blow off that left unit of knights, and with the Judicators, he took off that screen to be able to move in. I redeployed these knights after his movement with the dragons, and I was hoping to just get them over closer to here to screen my Realm Shaper engine that has my just my Skink Precinct. I didn't put the Salon in it because I didn't really want them coming in and just nuking them with one dragon or something. But didn't quite get the role I wanted, and unfortunately that kind of opened up this hole here. And he's basically, because of cohesion, he's basically able to pin up all of these Bastiladons, I think. So absolutely nightmare case here. I was hoping I was going to be able to hold him off with the screens. Didn't do well enough. His Judicators hit the screens instead of like my heroes, and which was a good move. And now he's able to pin up all my important pieces. And this is basically how, this goes on a little bit, but this is basically how the game goes for the first 2 turns, is his dragons in my lines and my Bastiladons being tagged up by him and not really being able to chew out of that hole. And you can see on my turn, he did get in range for me to curse his dragons, but I wasn't able to get it off. Even with the bonus of that terrain piece there, I wasn't able to get that off, and so that really hurt. And I wasn't really able to do much damage. I think in my first turn, I shot all the Bastiladons into the dragons, and I did 2 damage. That's with my spells, blowing up the Realm Shaper engine, all my shots, everything went into them. Engine of the Gods, I did 2 damage. Oh man, what a terrible turn there. So I was definitely hoping to do more than that. If I could have, this was the dragon that was already damaged. I think he had like one damage on him or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But if he had to remove that one, I would have been able to grab my objective back from him. But because I didn't do enough damage, he kept both of those objectives. And now I've got a serious problem. He does get the turn from 1 to 2 and just inflicts even more. He was able to destroy the Realm Shaper engine, which is a common theme you'll see throughout this tournament. And luckily, I didn't lose my heroes when they were jumping out. But it's just not good. And I spend the next couple of turns just absolutely just bashing our heads into the. Be able to kill a Bastiladon for a little while. I think it took him like 3 or maybe 4 turns. I think it was 3 turns until he killed a Bastiladon. And eventually, actually, you know what? I don't think I ever got curse off. I may have never gotten curse off. Maybe, let's see, does that say finally in, that may have been turn 3 or 4, it went off. And then I was able to do some damage and kill 2 dragons. But up until that point, it just wasn't happening. I did kind of shift over to this side with this Bastiladon and the Salon and was able to take out most of the Judicators. I think we left like 2 alive. I dropped the Chameleon Skinks back here to score this objective and put pressure over here. I was able to kill off some Vindictors. So I was able to, make a push of it, but it just wasn't enough. Getting all the Bastiladons tied up there with the dragons was just brutal. And he ended up killing the engine here. Just I couldn't. I left those 2 dragons alive. Just could not kill them off. And so then his Fulminators killed that Bastiladon, and then they started just pressuring that side. And so while I had shifted this way, he was able to burn that objective on turn going in turn 3, I think. And I just wasn't able to push hard enough that side. So he had a pretty good lead on me at that point, and he got the win pretty handily by the end of that game. So he was able to clear off just about everything. And those dragons, when they have that Castellant +1 plus Mystic Shield, it's, unless you can get some mortal wounds into them, it is hard to shift. Just all the mortal wounds, I've got some decent mortal wounds. Fusel, spells, Chameleon Skinks. Just none of it was going off into the dragons. Engine of the Gods doing his AoE. Later on in the tournament, that was doing really well, but I couldn't get any of that to happen. I was getting like heals when nobody was hurt by him, that kind of thing. Which, hey, Engine of the Gods, that's the price you pay for the random dice roll. But great game. Good strategy there. I think if I line my Bastiladons up further back, maybe, or just spread them out even more, I wouldn't have gotten them all tied up by the dragons in that first turn, and may have been able to climb out of that a little bit easier. But good game with John. It was a fun one, and I'll beat you one day, John. Good stuff. All right, game 2. Game 2 was against Kit, and he has one of the most beautiful painted armies in Warhammer. Just incredible looking stuff. He's a fantastic painter. He's playing Soulblight Gravelords and a lot of bodies here. 132 wounds, 3 drops, but he's got a Vengorian Lord with command trait Swift and Deadly, Fragment of the Keep, and Amisthinti. I don't know, some pinions, however you say that. Prince of Ordry with pinions as well, and Manfred with pinions as well. You know, I think I did not unbind pinions one time because he rolled high. Looking at this list now, it's like, okay, pinions is important. He's taking on 3 guys. Maybe I need to unbind that one. I think it was something really high. I would have had to roll high for it, but I should have tried. Necromancer with Fading Vigor. He's got battle line of Blood Knights, 5 Blood Knights, 40 Deadwalker Zombies, 20 Death Rattle Skeletons, and another 10 Skeletons. And then he's also got the Corpse Cart, all not all inside of Battle Regiment, but most of it inside of Battle Regiment except 2 of the heroes. So we were both on 3 drops. I did win priority for picking sides or deployment, so I let him deploy first, I deployed first so that I would get priority. We are playing on Power Struggle, and so there's 2 on my side, 2 on his side, 1 in the middle. And here's deployment. So you can see again, my screens are set up all the way across the board. I know he's got, 30 skeletons basically in the grave that can pop up somewhere. So I just want to keep them off of me. So screen them out. And as in every single game in this tournament, the opponent hits me turn 1. So you can see a lot of his power is over here on this side, where I've only really got 1 Bastiladon. Of course, Bastiladons can shoot just about anywhere on the board, but my melee piece is here more towards the middle, towards right. So he's kind of lined up to go left. I'm kind of lined up to go right. He hits me turn 1 with Manfred, which, I mean, just look. My little cell phone picture doesn't give this model justice. It's just incredible looking. Like you almost feel bad putting my contrast painted Saurus Knights next to this beautiful model. But he hits me turn 1 with Manfred, and you can see he's moving up quite a bit. He brought this unit over here out of the gravesite. Trying to make that charge there. He's bringing his zombies up slowly. They didn't get a very good run. And his Blood Knights are basically the one that's going to push this side and make sure he captures that objective in case these make that charge. He's also brought these guys in. He's charging them all, hoping to make it. And he brought another unit of 10 skeletons in from the grave here. Unfortunately, he only made the 10 skeletons and Manfred into combat. He missed on this one, he missed here, and he missed here, which all could have made charges. So luckily for me, they didn't make all those charges. And he opted to keep Manfred there because Manfred was kind of tying up a lot of this stuff, but also getting real close to my terrain piece here. In fact, I think he does crush it. May have been with this model. It may have been when the dragon came down. I can't remember. But he does also kill my Realm Shaper engine, which... it happened in every single game. Somebody crushed my Realm Shaper engine. But he opted to leave Manfred in combat to kill off this and the screen, do some damage. Maybe to this screen too. I can't remember. I think he shifted over this side. And these skeletons really didn't do much work. They killed off like 1 or 2 of the Saurus Knights. Took a little bit of damage in return, but not a whole lot. We both kept each other pinned there. But yeah, here's the board here in just a second. So I did, on my turn, I'm not going to get into combat with him. I was kind of lining up the engine if I needed to, but I was able to shoot off Manfred with all the Bastiladons. Now, you know, he said that was a pretty big loss losing Manfred. I was just worried that like I'm spending all of my shooting to kill off one hero. Now maybe it's an important hero, but he still has a lot of beef coming down this way. These Blood Knights I'm terrified of. These two heroes I'm scared of, and so he does still have a lot of damage coming my way. And so I spent a lot of resources on to Manfred to kill him, but maybe it was worth it. You can see I retreated this one knight here, basically just to be kind of a roadblock to keep these Blood Knights from coming in and to rally next time if I needed. I moved these guys up enough range to where I could still overwatch with Bastiladon. That doesn't look quite like 6 inches, but I think it was. And to where I could keep 9 inches. If they charge on my next turn, I could get Curse off with the Engine of Gods. I didn't really want to attack with those knights because I knew that they were going to lose that battle against the skeletons. They just don't do enough damage. The knights don't if they're not supported by something. Maybe I should have charged them since I didn't have any other combat since I killed Manfred. But we did do some combat over here and kill off the rest of those skeletons. So after my turn, not a whole lot was cleared off the board, but if I get this next turn, I feel really good about it. If I don't, then he's going to be coming in with a lot of stuff onto me, and I don't like that. He does get the turn, and here he's bringing in his Vangorian Lord and whatever that, or the Prince Vordry into the Knights and into the Bastiladon. But by this time, I had the Bastiladon beefed up with a +1 to save. I may have put Mystic Shield on that one too. I can't remember, but he was unable to kill that Bastiladon. He did. This may have been where he stomped the Realm Shaper engine. He killed off all the Source Knights that were on that left side, and now the board. Spoiler alert! Let's go back here. So he killed off this Source Knight here. Tried to kill off that Bastiladon, didn't get it. In my turn, I was able to clear off this Vangorian Lord, and I got Curse off on the. Oh, this was great. I got Curse off. It may not have been this turn, maybe the next turn. I got Curse off on these zombies when they came in, and he was putting a lot of pressure on me. Let's go to this next picture. They're all gone. So let me tell you what happened here. So the Slann cast Stellar Tempest. All right, so there's 40 zombies. I roll 40 dice. How many mortals do you think it does? It did 20 mortals to the zombies. That was awesome. So obviously this was the game where I was going to roll well. Last game was the one where I wasn't rolling well. This is going to be the game where I roll well. So I get Curse off on, I think it was maybe the skeletons, and was able to finish them off with a lot of the shooting. Zombies took a ton of mortal wounds from the spells, and then I was able to finish them off. I left a couple alive, hoping that they wouldn't all die from battle shock, but they did. They all ran from battle shock, and he was pretty unlucky in this game in that he got like one of his units back, and it was the 10-man. He got 5 skeletons back the entire game. That was it. So that was fortunate for me. You can see my Chameleon Skinks are back here on his objective. Both of those came back in to help me score some back objectives. You can see, let's go back to this picture here. He pressed pretty hard as he started losing models. He started pressing a little bit harder here, and so that left his flank open. And as soon as I reached on the, I said, well, I think I'm going to deploy Chameleon Skinks. You could just, oh yeah. I remember those are in the list now. So, these Blood Knights, you know, I was kind of scared of these Blood Knights, so I put Comet's Call into those Blood Knights every single time. And this game, Comet's Call did amazing. You know, some games it does nothing, some games it does everything. This game it did everything. I think I killed 1 Blood Knight every single turn from Chameleon Skinks, or from Comet's Call. I was just rolling, the 5 or the 6 for the mortal wounds on the Blood Knights, and he wasn't getting any saves. So that was awesome, because those guys can be pretty hard to kill. And so, great game overall, but by the end of it, basically nothing left. The shooting was just too much to handle. And I didn't lose a Bastiladon on this when I was able to heal him back up as needed. And he wasn't really able to take out my support pieces, and so I was able to keep them buffed up the whole game and withstand the bodies and the hordes from Soulblight. So a pretty one-sided game on the scoreboard, but I think it really hinged on this turn 2 to 3 priority. Whoever won that one was going to get a pretty good swing. He won the first priority here, but I got that one from 2 to 3, which I think was the more vital one, and I was able to clear the board. So great game, a lot of fun playing against Kit, and always a nice time to look at his army, and it was a good game. All right, game 3 was against Cameron, and he is playing Orc War Clans. He's got Ironjawz, Bloodtooths, with Beastmaster. He's got 1 Megaboss on Maw Crusher with, let me zoom that in for you, with Hulking Brute and Destroyer and Fasten. So he's going to be hitting me turn 1 with this Megaboss on Maw Crusher, a couple of War Chanters, which aren't really that critical against Coalesced because, you know, they're there to pump up the extra damage for everything. And Coalesce just says, and I'll take that back down. So the Gore Grunters become really scary when the Orc War Chanter gives them +1 to damage. Now, I mean, they're still scary. They'll still do a ton of damage. But Coalesce is really kind of that rock to the scissors of the Gore Grunta, or however that saying is. He's also got, he's got a bunch of pigs, 1 unit of brute, and a rogue idol. He does have a 1-drop army, so he's going to get choice. And we are playing on Veins of Gur, which is kind of like the old Star Strike. You don't know where the objectives are until turn 2, the one in the middle comes down, and then turn 3, yours and the opponent's comes down. So here's our deployment. I decided to put my Realm Shaper on the front lines. I was tired of getting the thing destroyed and with my heroes in it, and I'm not too worried about plinking him some mortal wounds to his backfield, so I put it at like a choke point here between these 2 buildings. I don't want his Maw Crusher coming in from this side. I don't want it coming in here, and if it does, all it's got is 1 Bastiladon. So I'm hoping to funnel it this way where I've got most of my response, because I know the only way I can kill that Maw Crusher is with Curse, so I've got to get Curse off. And by having this little choke point here, it's going to kind of limit how much of his big old giant bases he can get through. So that's really the only reason I did that. I put that there. I didn't put any heroes in it. I put my Skink Priest behind it so he couldn't get shot by, I don't even know if they have any shooting, but so he couldn't get shot. My other Skink Priest is over here. I didn't really have any other terrain that was in my territory. This thing was like just barely in my territory, like 1 corner of it, so it counts. But nothing else. I wish I had kind of had a piece of terrain back here to huddle around to give me that ward save and +1 to my prayers, but I didn't. But I was ready for that charge. This time I am properly 3 inches back from this unit in case he kills it. And wants to pile in with something else. At least I'm 3 inches back, so it makes it a little bit harder. But that's how deployment is. And of course he does charge my ranks. Here's a Rogue Idol coming in. The Rogue Idol went middle. He had a big unit of 6 Gore Gruntas going left, and his Maw Crusher went right. You can kind of see after his turn, he's blown up every single one of my screens. So all my Source Knights are dead. But he hasn't done really damage to anything else. I think he did destroy the Realm Shaper engine at that point. Not a big deal. It may have been this turn or the next one. I didn't have any heroes in it anyway, so I wasn't getting any use out of it. But it's really just there as a choke point. And so on to my turn, he's in range for Curse, but I don't get it off. So that's a little disappointing. Because I know I'm not going to do very much damage into the Maw Crusher without Curse. So I needed Curse to go off. I took as a battle tactic, I think, destroy that unit. Maybe I can't exactly remember all my battle tactics. Choosing 10 per game is nuts. So I don't remember all of what they were. But I was able to put a lot of damage into this. In fact, I don't even think, since I didn't get Curse off, I don't even think I shot this Bastiladon or this one into the Maw Crusher. I think I shot them all over here at these pigs. If I can get rid of all that beef over there, then I have a little bit better chance. I know I'm not going to kill this one. I'm going to line up for a +1 to my prayer and hopefully take out that Maw Crusher here in this turn. I do buff up this this engine for melee purposes. Oh, he did pop Finest Hour turn 1. And I charge in this engine and the Bastiladon. That's a weird choice, but I need to tie that thing up. I can't have it rampaging and charging and all that kind of stuff. I do the same thing with this Bastiladon. I charge him into the Rogue Idol. I give him, pluses to his save. I think I gave Mystic Shield and +1 to the engine. So it is going to be at like +3 versus the Maw Crusher, just to help keep it alive. Also, my this guy's given +1 here, and so I'm able to buff everything up pretty well, and then send it into these targets. I need to tie up this Rogue Idol, and I need to tie up that. So I do that with the Bastiladons, as well as taking out this unit of pigs. The Rogue Idol really doesn't do any damage to the Bastiladon, and the Maw Crusher gets about half of the Engine of God's health down. So that's a little scary. And I don't think I did much damage to the Maw Crusher. I may have not done any to the Maw Crusher in melee. So that -1 rend on all of Seraphin's stuff just isn't quite enough to punch through. I did line up to like break his artifact on the next turn and all that kind of good stuff. I did get the turn going into turn 2, so I got a double turn. This is after turn 1, I think. I've killed all these. I've killed all the pigs, and I've lined up here. I did get the turn, and now he can't use Finest Hour on the Maw Crusher, which is nice. And I do get Curse off, because now I've got +1 to my prayer from this terrain piece. I swung in on the charge over there, which is most of the reason why I charged, because I wanted to hopefully survive and then get that prayer off. And I am able to get that prayer off and do quite a bit of damage. I think I don't remember if I even had to shoot over here. I double fired this one. I shot everything I had here into that Maw Crusher. And in melee, pumped up the Engine of Gods again and was able to clear him off. So I was able to kill the Maw Crusher. I was able to put quite a bit of damage into him. Not really a whole lot going into the Rogue Idol. I think at this point, maybe I've gotten the Rogue Idol to about half, which I'm happy with, because now I can focus all my attention on it as the game proceeds. So there we go. Oh, I did also get a summons, which was kind of cool, because then I had some Source Warriors, which this actually proved incredibly valuable. So I charged him in just to get some extra attacks in case I needed it from Curse. But on his turn, he chose Slay the Warlord, because this guy only had 6 wounds left, and he's charging these pigs in. Well, when they move within 9, I redeploy these warriors and get a good roll, and I'm able to screen that Engine of Gods from the pigs. He was still able to attack with like 1 2-inch range, but wasn't able to get everything in. So that saved my Engine of Gods right there. The summons from these warriors and the redeploy. That was pretty great. The objective fell over here on the left, and I was able to move the Bastiladon up there. A nice little run and shoot from the Skink Priest is always nice and valuable. And so he was able to go there. I think in this turn, I cleared the Rogue Idol, maybe. And his turn, he charged these pigs over here to take on this Bastiladon. Bastiladon was at +1, and I was in range. Maybe I was able to give another +1. Maybe I wasn't. I can't remember. But he was already had a +1 from this Skink Chief or Skink Priest. So he didn't really do a lot of damage. He did a little bit. And with Overwatch or Unleash Hell, and actually his tail attacks. Tail attacks in this game were doing something. It was weird. And I was able to kill off just about all those pigs, I think. Enough to where he couldn't grab this objective from me. And these pigs here were basically tied up by the Source Warriors after the redeploy. So his turn didn't quite go as well as he had hoped. And then the objectives fall, and you can see mine fell here, right on, right where my Bastiladon was. And his fell over here. You can see it right there. And I was able to grab that with some Chameleon Skinks and put some pressure on these Brutes, which was basically his only other threat left. And they can still do a lot of work, but the Chameleon Skinks wore him down on my next couple turns. So that's basically how the game ended. I was able to table them off there and really didn't lose any Bastiladons this turn, even though they were in combat for quite a few turns, at least 2 turns with a Maw Crusher and a Rogue Idol. But they weren't able to get anything through. This one almost died. He was close. And this one over here was on 3 wounds. This one looks like he was on 2, maybe. So they were close, but weren't able to clear him off. And so that was nice. Terrain really worked in, I think, in my favor a little bit here towards the end of the game, as you know, we were able to kind of funnel them to certain places. But great game. It was a lot of fun, at least for me and my Bastiladons. So another game where I got charged turn 1. It was pretty rough there. So I think that was towards the end of the game there. And pretty lopsided on the scoreboard, as towards the end of the game, he basically had nothing left and it was able to clear it out. That turn 2 priority was pretty critical to help clear off that Maw Crusher. If I hadn't gotten that priority, he would have killed my engine for sure, and then I wouldn't have been able to get Curse off. So getting that double turn from 1 to 2 was incredibly valuable. So, all right, good stuff. Let's go to maybe a recap. So as far as like recap, so we went 2-1 on, it was just a 3-game tournament with some unique rules, picking 2 battle tactics per turn. So that caused some interesting strategy. Skink Priest did great for me. Them plus the Bastiladons did awesome. The only game they struggled in was that first one where just couldn't get over the high armor save. So I think if you're running into a lot of high armor, it's just not going to do it. You need some mortal wound output. Chameleon Skinks were awesome. I continue to like them in 1 unit, maybe 2 in your list, just to score those valuable points, snipe off some heroes, and provide some mortal wounds. Realm Shaper Engine got smashed in every single game. Although I did kind of like using it as a little bit of a screen in that game 3. That one was kind of fun. I may try to utilize that a little bit more if I can utilize some natural choke points on the table with the Realm Shaper. It's quite valuable that way, and I can always move up to it to get my buffs unless it gets smashed turn 1. Bastiladons, they didn't really give up all that many of the prime target, prime hunter points, whatever they're called. Game 1, I think just about all of them died, but they were killed by fulminators and dragons. And so I think the stuff that's going to kill them is a lot of times on that list. And I've found that if my Bastiladons are dying, I'm usually losing the game anyway. They've gotten past my screens. I haven't been able to shoot off their important targets, and now they're killing the important things. And so games 2 and 3, they weren't really able to kill the Bastiladon, so they didn't really get those points. I think if a few things had swung their way, I mean every game's like that, but if a few things had swung their way, they probably would have gotten 1 or 2, and maybe gotten a point or 2 from it. But it wouldn't have made a difference. So I think those Prime Hunter, I got to learn the names of those things. Prime Hunter, Prime Targets, whatever they're called. I haven't seen it swing a game yet. Now, of course, it's just 3 games, but I think if they're killing my Bastiladons, they've probably already won the game. If they're not, I'm probably winning it. If they're killing 1, it's not going to swing the game. So I think with Salamanders, you're going to lose Salamanders a lot more often because they're a lot more aggressive up on the front lines and in melee. And so you're going to give up more points that way. But hey, a 3 Bastiladon list, I think it can do well. I do need to come up with a little bit more mortal wounds or just have them work better. Those dragons were tough. I couldn't kill them off with what I've got. Maybe in that case, I bring down the Chameleon Skinks. If I could have done that again, I probably would have screened a little bit better and maybe brought down the Chameleon Skinks just to put some mortal wounds into them to start killing them off, because that's the only thing that would kill them in that case. -1 rend isn't going to do it versus some lists, some high armor stuff. Anyway, a lot of fun. I'm glad 3 Bastiladons went 2-1. That's kind of what I was hoping for. So, hey, a lot of fun. 3 Bastiladons. It's a viable list. Yay. All right, guys. That was a fun one. We'll see you next time.